Yo, man, what's up? It's your boy Sluu, and I appreciate you all for tapping back in to watch another video with me today. Today's reaction video will be getting into Texas Tech and how it exposed college football's biggest lie. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but you know the drill by now. When I saw the title, there was no way I couldn't react with the gang. So we're gonna get right into it. Let me stop. I'm taking too much of your time. Let's get straight into this video.
Texas Tech has been sending shockwaves across the college football world. How is it that a team from Lubbock, Texas, with a scarce history of success could be competing and winning the same recruits targeted by Georgia and Texas? The answer?
Money.
Is money.
College football has become unrecognizable to traditional fans.
It's become nothing more than pay to play. We all know it.
This is ruining college football.
That's a lot of people's take right now, man.
There's so much money involved in college athletics.
But that is really no different than college football for the last 100 years.
College athletics might just be doomed.
College football fans love to talk about tradition. The bands, the fight songs, the rivalries. It's what makes the sport feel different than anything else in the world.
Yeah.
But here's the truth that fans often get wrong. Tradition wasn't the driving force establishing the blue bloods of the sport today. From the very beginning, the real driving force behind success has always been money. Money got the best coaches, built the biggest stadiums, paid for state-of-the-art facilities, secured top recruits, and ultimately separated the haves from the have-nots. So when people say NIL ripped apart the century-old tradition of the sport, they're buying into an illusion, because the reality is that money and a winning culture always has and always will be what separates the winners from the losers of this sport.
That is a very well-known fact, and I'm sure that everyone knows that. It just wasn't legal before. We already knew the guys at Alabama and the kids at Georgia and the Ohio States and shit and the Michigans. We already knew they were getting the SRTs and the Chargers and the jewelry and all. We already knew this. We knew that they were living above their means to just be in college. We already knew this. But what we didn't know was the scale that it could reach. Like at the magnitude that this shit is at right now, we never knew that it was gonna get to like $13 million signing bonuses and shit like that for college athletes. We didn't see that. We didn't see that coming. But we knew that money was already being tossed around. We wasn't blind to that.
You have to go back to the very beginning.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it.
I could have sworn we might have went through the last video without an entire like. Damn.
It was back in 1895 when the first conference was formed, what we know today as the Big Ten, led by the Michigan Wolverines and Fielding Yost, the coach who built the sport's first dynasty of the 20th century. The sport quickly grew in popularity, and teams in the Midwest and the Northeast quickly outgrew their modest grandstands and began erecting massive stadiums to capitalize on the biggest money maker of the day, ticket sales. Within a couple of decades, the traditional powers of the sport were already taking shape around the country, leveraging growing alumni bases and certain geographical advantages. But it wouldn't take long before the programs in power started this relentless pursuit of consolidating it. A little later on in 1926, there was a small upstart school from South Bend, Indiana, led by a man by the name of Knute Rockne. The Fighting Irish were trying to establish themselves in the football world by joining their other regional schools in the Big Ten. Michigan's Fielding Yost wasn't having it. Notre Dame had defeated the Wolverines back in 1909, and Yost was accusing Rockne of illegal recruiting methods and essentially blackballed the school from scheduling other teams in the Big Ten. Rockne called Yost a hypocrite for his accusations, but Notre Dame had no other choice but to go national. They built rivalries with
See, this is something that is still alive today in college football. Notre Dame is still not in a conference game. I didn't know this is how that started though. If you know how, like, if you know a little bit more about this, man, drop it in the comments. If you can find a video, drop it in the comments. Drop a link in the comments. And we'll react to that.
Navy, and anyone else who would play them. And under Knute Rockne, they won a lot. Eventually, the school secured a national radio deal, and suddenly this small Catholic college was in homes across the country. With a massive national following and a legendary head coach at the helm, Notre Dame had successfully claimed their spot among the sports elite. But the radio deals were really only the beginning. Something bigger was on the horizon that promised to elevate the sport to new heights while also bringing a host of other problems. And That was television. When the first college football game aired on TV in the 1930s, it had the potential to be a great equalizer of the sport, but instead it only furthered the gap between the traditional blue bloods and other schools trying to establish themselves. Because out of fear of hurting ticket sales, the NCAA took total control of TV rights, allowing only one game to be nationally broadcast a week and a very select few regional broadcasts. Year after year, the usual suspects were slotted in those coveted TV slots, and every broadcast boosted their alumni support, their brand recognition, their recruiting, and their power. Schools that already had the back.
Essentially, you only seen certain schools and believed that those were the only schools that have football programs. If you wasn't, in the area where the other programs that weren't being broadcasted were.
Continued to separate themselves. The NCAA claimed it was just trying to protect the sport, when in reality, it only further entrenched those teams already in power. But there were schools that eventually had had enough. In 1984, Oklahoma and Georgia took the NCAA to the Supreme Court to give media rights back to individual teams and conferences. The court ruled in their favor, ending the NCAA's monopoly over TV rights. Schools and conferences could negotiate their own deals, and suddenly what conference you...
That's why we have the Big Ten Network, the SEC, TV. Okay. This is all news to me, bro. And I'm a big fan of college football. I'm a big fan of football in general. I love the sport. I grew up playing the sport my entire life. But I wasn't really known, too well aware about any of this, bro, to be honest with you all.
You were affiliated with meant everything in the media rights arms race. TV money started pouring into these facilities, the recruiting, the exposure, and teams left on the outside were scrambling to keep up. This was the beginning of repeated conference expansions and realignments, all in an effort to not be left behind. And the teams already at the top continued to get richer, and the money started piling up in these different regions throughout the country. See, with money driving the success, schools would do whatever it took to win, and the scandals piled up.
They offered David $25,000 to go to SMU.
They showed my mother $50,000 in a briefcase.
Eric Dickerson has shown up at school today in a gold Trans Am.
We call it the Trans Am.
Miami football players were accused of getting cash, gifts, and prostitutes from an ex-booster.
Penalties have been levied.
See, we already knew about. That's what I'm saying. This shit was already going on, bro. It was already going on.
To make up for the great competitive advantage SMU has gained over the years.
Still, at this point, paying players under the table wasn't new, and everyone was doing it. Some teams were just better at covering it up. But the reality of the situation remained: if you were serious about winning, you had to put up the money. No matter how rich your school's tradition was, you still needed two things to make the engine run: a winning culture and a financial backing. And if an upstart school could figure out how to combine the two, they had the formula to elevate their spot in the college football hierarchy. And there wasn't a better example of this than the Oregon Ducks and Nike.
So I'm gonna go over co-producer. It can listen to the music that you have, and it's gonna find samples that fit your music.
Yeah, this probably fucked the game up. This probably definitely fucked the game up.
Who would have thought it? Kenny Wayden with a touchdown!
The rise of Oregon started back in the 60s on their track field, where Phil Knight and Bill Bowerman started a small shoe company out of the back of his car. But it wouldn't be until the 90s for it to translate into a winning football team. After decades of mediocre football, the Ducks finally made it to the 1994 Rose Bowl, and the Nike founder was hooked.
I got very enthused. My involvement has just grown ever since.
Came to a few of us and asked what we could do to help the University of Oregon take that next step.
He started dumping millions into facilities, the uniforms, media exposure, and recruiting, illegal or not. The resources, coupled with some of the most exciting offenses in the country, and Oregon had suddenly cemented its name with the Blue Bloods. And while a partnership with Nike is one of a kind, it perfectly demonstrates that with enough money and a winning culture, you can win, regardless of tradition. Which brings us to the Wild West era of today.
That is actually,
a new team is looking.
I'm not gonna lie, that is actually crazy. That is crazy. That is
crazy. Spot amongst the brand names.
The right amount of money,
but not with flashy uniforms or custom Jordans. With oil. Since the hire of Joey McGuire back in 2021, Texas Tech has been dreaming of heights never thought possible. With a billionaire-backed NIL collective and a recruiting pitch to develop kids for the next level, Tech has landed the top 2025 transfer class and a couple more blue-chip prospects to go with it. And it's ruffled some feathers across the country. A common sentiment is that Texas Tech landing 5-star talent marks the end of what made college football great over the past 100 years. That money is ruining the sport. And I agree, money introduces corruption, entitlement, and the NFLification of college football. But plenty of teams have money, and plenty of teams have spent money and lost. Only a few have the organization, coaching, development to make that money turn into championships. And where Texas Tech falls into that equation is yet to be seen, but this isn't the end of college football, it's just the next era. NIL hasn't ruined the sport. It's
I'm not gonna lie, he be dropping dimes, like real fucking bars, bro. Excuse my language, but real bars. Like, he's dropping real bars. He hasn't lied yet.
The mask of tradition and forced everyone to face the truth. Top recruiting classes aren't signed off of championships won half a century ago. And just because you're a fan of a traditional
Nah, but they signed off the most recent ones.
Entitle your team to 5-star talent. Don't get me wrong, I love the pageantry and the history of the programs as much as the next guy. But college football tradition has always been this beautiful illusion. In reality, when it comes to winning, money and a winning culture are the only traditions that have ever really mattered.
That is a true fact, man. I don't think he's really lying on that. That's something that I would agree with him on. Just because when NIL became prevalent, coaches like Nick Saban realized they weren't going to be able to hang. When we get to see what schools get to tap into money that they get to legally spend now, like he said, schools are already doing it, but some schools were just better at the others than covering it up. But when it became a legal thing, and we don't even got to hide how much we got to spend to grab a guy, we're going broke, or damn near you have to go broke to compete with us. It's over. And we seen that when Nick Saban retired, and the shit like this, things like that, man. And then you got Penn State and the UCLA's programs that, like he said, were blue bloods, just dominant at one point in time because of where they were at and where they offered and what they can give a kid just to come there on the low. Can't even compete nationally anymore because other places got money. And it's about that. But that's just my take on it, man. It's your boy Sluu Hustle. I appreciate you all. Please remember to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you all in the next video, man. It's always fun catching up with y'all. See y'all again real soon.